of Management Studies, IMS in Ghaziabad. He's been a member of the Governing Council of IMS. He's an independent director on the board of CSC, E-Governance Services India Limited, which is, of course, the Ministry of Electronics and IT of the government. He's a member of the key corporate governance committees, board of directors since 2017. In addition, he's a member of the Education Committee of the Confederation of Indian Industry and on the board of several other non-profit bodies. He has to his credit over 24 research articles in peer-reviewed ABDC and Scopus index journals. He's authored and edited 4 books published by international publishers. He's an outstanding speaker and analyst. What a pleasure to have you, sir, with us. Hey, Professor Alok Pandey, you worked very closely with the government. You've been on several bodies. Could you elaborate on the thinking of the government in this regard? Because obviously there was, a lot of internal debate before the decision was taken by the Supreme Court, although, of course, the government influence was paramount.
Thank you, Chetan, and thank you for inviting me here. Let me tell you, one of the biggest problems which educationists don't think in India is that we still are a country which has an education system created by Macaulay and Bentinck. So Lord William Bentinck and Lord Macaulay gave us something that, please produce clerks for the Britishers. And our education system largely produces clerks for the country. And of course, we as teachers who work with the systems, often we are told that, teachers talk too much. By whom? The decision is largely a Supreme Court decision. The government has nothing to do with it. Even then, the Karnataka government is organizing its class 12th exams. CBSE has also given a choice for the exam. It is only a very small board called ICSE board, which is a very minuscule proportion, probably 70,000 students appearing in its exam, which has said it's going to use for 10th. Probably CBSE has followed the court guidelines, but for 12th, they have given the idea. The second part of it is that when was and which government of this country was interested in education? You've been spending the lowest per capita GDP on education for the last 70 years. It's 3% of your GDP, and this 3% of GDP is for a population of 140 crore people. Now, the point is, as you go ahead at looking at the way we look at education in India, it's not a priority. So you have initially public universities, which are now in a very poor state of affairs because of fiscal and financial indiscipline. Now, in any case, for last 30, 40, 50 years, our universities have only printed degrees. And this is akin to, inflation in the economies when you print notes. So the fact is, this COVID crisis is a wonderful way to look at where we were, what it has done to us, and what should we do. But rest assured, our decisions are not very thoughtful. They are not very research oriented. Once again, whose education are we talking about? Are we talking about 500 million lower middle class people, upper income people? Or will we ever talk about the remaining 800 million people who are on the roads during the COVID disaster? So the fact is, somewhere down the line, education in India still is a preserve of the elite. It is the middle classes. The lower middle classes also don't get it. There's a very high fee structure in the private sector, and there's a very poor structure of the government system. This is a very serious debate, I believe. Thank you very much for organizing it. It's not about holding exams or not holding exams. It's about whether our education systems are specifically going to get out of the clutches of Lord Macaulay and Lord William Bentinck, and we'll stop producing clerks. Exams or no exams, they don't matter. You take the exams or don't take an exam. The quality of the student will remain the same.
The reason why we started out with it, because that is a prop change. We'll start with you, Alok Pandey. We'll have a brief take on what you've heard today. What are your key takeaways?
Thank you, Chetan. I think you have your plate full with too many speakers for this shorter time, but 2 points. One, beginning with Professor Dhaliwal. Government is wrong for delaying the session. They should immediately open the session. We have 150,000 people dying on road accidents. Do you stop driving? Do you stop riding two-wheelers? Diseases happen, and it's a very mild disease. It's just 2% mortality rate. What I really understand is that we have bungled on the issue of education. There's something called herd immunity. There's a data which has come from UK. It says the number of deaths in a society over a period of time, whether a pandemic or no pandemic, is always equal. So you lock down people, they'll die of pandemic. Their immunity would go down. A lot of people who are diabetics or people who have cardiovascular disease will also die because they're in a lockdown situation. So young students have to be allowed to come out. The government is completely wrong on the issue of UGC not saying that online is not a solution. They are wrong again. What is important is a blended learning solution. You need to have online education blended with learning management systems where both objective type, multiple choice questions can be asked from the students, and also you can have open book examination kind of things. And these are things which are being, MOOCs probably are not the best way to learn, but the worldwide exposure and worldwide research. I myself in my institution, I've got a fantastic library with almost every particular database and resource, and we did our final research projects of the second year in April through that. Every student was able to log into the library and he did the research. I did open book exam, no problems. I did midterm objective type exams, no problem. The only problem, and let me tell you, if the universities in India are postponing exams, they are doing exactly what the hospitals are doing. They are turning away patients because the doctors are not capable and they do not have the resources. So, let us learn that these are symptoms of a bigger problem, bigger malaise. You lack resources, so you say it is not possible. So what we need to do is that build up resources. You have 2, 3, 4, 5 years plan. Let me tell you one important point. Let the institutions begin.